Welcome, welcome. Well, folks, we have yet again another Mania meltdown. Another Mania meltdown. We're going to have to get that trademark because this guy looks like a shell of himself from last year. And folks, did you see Sean Mania in the post game? Did you see Sean Mania in the post game? I can't believe. Honestly, I cannot believe the way he kind of sounds in the post game, smirking, laughing. And the guy honestly has no damn clue. Has no damn clue how to get right. And folks, that is damn scary. Damn scary. You know what? I got a headache. Probably because of the New York Mets. But this is just such a bad series loss. We're playing the Nationals, folks. The Washington Nationals, 25 games under 500. You're coming off a series. You win against the Mariners. You're looking good. You're feeling good. You're pitching good. You had some guts. You had some gutty performances from the pitchers over the weekend. You have a young rookie who literally turns this team around single-handedly. All right, you're riding a little bit of a streak. Yesterday, they should have won yesterday. They fought. They came up short. What else is new? But the fact of the matter is they still had an opportunity to take this series. They still had an opportunity to make sure that they didn't have any losing streaks. This is what we don't need, folks. We do not need losing streaks. A lot of frustrations. Before I continue to get into it, please do me a favor. You got to like the video. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. Trying to get the videos to 100 likes. So if you're watching it today, tomorrow, later in the day, hit the like button. I really appreciate it in advance. Thank you. But folks, this is, again, very, very, very alarming. Folks, are we throwing in the towel? I'm the type of fan, I will never throw in the towel, but I look at the team, I look at the players. Have they thrown in the towel? Sean Mania obviously is a guy that you would have thought would have been our ace or co-ace, right? After last year, you give him $75 million. $75 million. I mean, if you look at how much money we spent this offseason on Montas, Mania, and Juan Soto, folks, that is well over $900 million. Are we getting over $900 million worth of performances? No, not even close. So, the evaluations, David Stearns, he makes the decisions over the offseason. That's an issue right now. That is an issue, but this team is looking like, they're expecting to lose. And, another big beef, and before we get into specifics, and thank God, honestly, I rewatched this game. It was hard, but I missed the game live because I was working. I'd usually rather watch the game, but today I'd rather work. But Mendoza, the game's 5-3. The game is 5-3 going into the 8th inning, and you put your worst pitcher in, Ryan Stanek? I don't even get that. I don't even get it. Tyler Rogers comes in the 6th inning. This guy, it's death by 1,000 cuts. 1 run here, 2 runs there. This guy, who you thought could be that rubber arm and that could shut the door, not shutting the door. Then working our way backwards, you get to Sean Mania, who you could just pencil it in. By the time he gets to the 2nd, 3rd time through the order, he's done. He's done. And they asked him, are you fatigued? Is there something that you're not executing or you're not doing once you get to that part of the game? And, he's smirking. I don't know. I'm just not locating my fastball. And everything I say about him, everything I've said, he's not locating his fastball. He's relying too much on the sweeper. Then he's losing control of the sweeper. He's saying the same thing in the postgame show. He says the same thing we say. And then when the reporters are looking for insight, they're trying to figure out, does he know how to right the ship? Does he know how to correct things? He doesn't. He doesn't. And that is damn scary. You would be thinking the coaches would be saying, well, you know what? Your arm slot is a little off, or you're not executing this pitch, or this is not looking right. It's just so damn scary. So damn scary. And then the other thing that worries me is, are the New York Mets going to have the guts to make aggressive moves down the stretch in order to fight for a playoff spot? I mean, it should go without saying, because of the fact that we're spending close to $350 million, you would think that the New York Mets organization, Steve Cohen, David Stearns, would want to move heaven and earth to try to make the playoffs, at least try to get some playoff revenue. But honestly, it seems like all they're trying to do is cater to some of these players, but I don't know, some ungodly reason they have allegiances to some certain players. Makes no damn sense. You got to be aggressive now, folks. You got to be aggressive. Whether that's putting Mania in some sort of other role that will not continue to hinder and hurt the team. This is just so abysmal right now. Mania is obviously showing you he cannot be a starter. He cannot be a starter. He just cannot be a starter. I don't know how many times I got to say it. He is looking so damn hittable. One of the problems is he can't locate the fastball. He had troubles with the sweeper, and he mentioned in the postgame show he had trouble with the sweeper, and it was really funny. Last excuse, he goes, oh, I should have went to the sweeper more, and I should have went to the sweeper earlier. Now there's no excuses. The sweeper sucked, and the fastball sucked. Like I said, honestly, right now, he probably shouldn't be in the position he is in right now. He's got close to a 6 ERA. Sanga, your other co-ace, has close to a 6 ERA since coming back after his injury. So, again, the top of your rotation is cooked. You're relying on David Peterson to carry the weight of most of this rotation, and you're relying, obviously, on the rookies. I say right now, Sproat, I should have heard, unless I missed it, there should have been a note right after this game that Brandon Sproat is going to be called up from the minors. I don't know if I missed it. Did I miss it? It's just so frustrating. Another season slipping away. Let me just calm down for a minute. Danny, what's going on? Bad, and more bad baseball by our New York Mets. Synonymous with the New York Mets. Bad, horrible, abysmal. I mean, right now, who could you blame for this game? You can blame a lot of people for this game. You can blame Mendoza, Stanek, Mania, Tyler Rogers, Pete Alonso defensively, Juan Soto striking out many times, although he hit a couple deep fly balls to the wall. Some people were excited by that. But again, not nearly as good enough as obviously a guy making $800 million. No excuses, but the guy hasn't been close to being good enough. A lot of blame to go around. And again, Mendoza playing this game like it's game one in the season. You're running out of time here. The fact that he went to Stanek in the 8th inning, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It just, it just really makes no sense to me. It's not fun watching Mania get ready to crap himself, inning, vomit every 4th. Yep. I mean, if he gets to the 4th, the Mariners, they tattooed him early in the game last time. So, I mean, it's like almost a blessing. Hopefully he can get to the 4th. And if he does get to the 4th or 5th inning, he's going to get shelled. And that's why, if you're Mania, another thing on Mania, if this guy starts hitting people like he was, his control all over the place, and I know he's got some issues with his arm or elbow, or supposedly he's healthy. I mean, supposedly. So this is it. I'm not going to say he's hurt because until I hear him say, oh, I have an issue with my elbow, or I have an issue with my shoulder, or some other issue, I'm going to see the guy in the field, and I'm going to assume the guy is healthy enough to produce at a high level. And then I'm going to assume that the New York Mets have deemed that this guy is good enough to go out there and produce. So, again, no excuses for Manaea, because I already see people saying, well, he's hurt, his elbow this, his shoulder that, he's fatigued, he's still building up his arm. No excuses, folks. The guy is unproductive. And again, the comments in the postgame show are not acceptable, especially from a man who just received $75 million. And that's another thing that bothers the crap out of me. These guys who are unproductive and these guys who are not coming through are the same guys who just received monster contracts. How does that work out, right? How does that work out? They just got paid, lifetime money, 75 for Manaea and $800 million for Soto. And all of a sudden, these guys, aren't playing their hearts out. They're not playing. Manaea last year was very focused, playing to his fullest capability. This year, it's like a joke. It's a joke. And again, that's why, I say they're frauds. Last year you saw these guys elevate their game. You saw a different version of the Mets. And I said, even early in mid-August, when the Mets, they won, it was just a couple of days ago, they won a couple games, but they went through that big losing stretch. But even before that, I didn't feel the same energy. You didn't see the same life on the field. It was just completely different. I'm hoping we can capture something late and ride something into the playoffs. And again, it depends when you get hot. But right now, I am just so super concerned about this team because I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. Somebody on one of the videos yesterday made a very astute comment. I think it was Crispy, but I could be wrong. They said that the Mets players are doing way too much celebrating during the game with the high fives, the posing in the dugout with the pictures. The kids, there's a lot of young kids on this team, right? And it's fun to be in the majors. It's fun, but it's also a business. You're also professionals. And at the end of the day, these players have won Zippo. So, the celebration, yeah, when you hit a home run, it feels good. All right, that's it. I don't like the prolonged celebration. If you want to throw your hand up and just in a second show your emotion, but these celebrations are going on for so long in the dugout. I'm like, what the heck is going on? We're losers right now. We're losers, and we're pretending like we did something special. So that is something I completely agree. I don't get that crap. But it just kind of shows you that Manaea is just sitting there like, oh, look, we hit a home run. So Soto hit a home run. We're still down by 6, but it was a good shot. Let's see if he takes a picture with Lindor and the rest of the team. I don't get that. That drives me crazy when losers celebrate and act like they did something special. There's just too many things to complain about right now. There's just honestly way too many things to complain about. Again, who are we holding accountable? Who are we holding accountable? The manager right now, if you're the manager and you're Carlos Mendoza, who are you holding accountable? Obviously, you're going to say the players, right? But Carlos Mendoza not even holding anybody accountable. In the post-game show, you hear him saying the same thing over and over and over. I want some accountability. Unless you want to say, and he's kind of saying he's messing up in past post-game press conferences. He's saying we have to get better in-game decisions. We have to be better executing. So he's kind of throwing himself on the wall in some situations. But again, I want to hear these players held accountable, but I want to see them held accountable. That's more important because that affects a player. If you take them out of their expected position, if you take Manaea out of the rotation, that sends a message. You got to produce or you're going to be out of the rotation. I don't give a damn if you're making $25 million. You're not producing. Kodai Senga, all right, we're going to put you in a different role until you are producing. Brandon Sprout, we're going to give you a shot. Jonah Tong, we're going to give you a shot. Other guys in the minors, Will Warren, other pitchers might need a little more seasoning, but we have 2 or 3 guys who have been ultra productive, and I would like to see those guys now before the season is completely lost. And you know what, folks? It might be lost already, because at the end of the day, if you can't beat the Washington Nationals, what are we even playing for? I mean, what are we? You can't beat the Nationals. It's tough right now. It is completely tough. And then also, in these post-game press conferences, and I'm going to say this too, the media really, and they used to be a lot better. You used to hear a lot of tougher questions. You're not hearing any tough questions from the reporters. You're really not. You're letting Mendoza off the hook. You're letting all these, Manaea off the hook. Sean Manaea. Hey, Sean Manaea, you were paid $75 million. I mean, you haven't been producing as of late. Do you deserve to be in the starting rotation? How about asking him that? Carlos Mendoza. Ryan Stanek in the 8th inning in a 2-run game. Are you just throwing in the game? Are you just, did you just think that was a loss? With the offense being as hot as the offense has been, right? The offense, you can't blame the offense. They scored 3 runs today. Not the best game, but the offense has been, you're positive. 2 runs shouldn't have been the situation where you bring in Ryan Stanek. That's on Mendoza. That is completely on Mendoza. All right, I'm going to go through the comments right now, or go through some comments, and then I got some more stuff I got to get to, but let's get to some of your great comments. Okay. Marcus, what's going on, man? Hey, Dom, good to see you use the word fraudulent. This is how I've been describing most, not all, the Mets starting rotation. I just feel, right now you got guys who should be pitching at a lot higher of a level right now, right? And I don't feel that why does it feel that Manaea last year would move heaven and earth to pitch at a high level? Yes, he helped the team, but he also helped himself because he received a huge contract. This year, he just seemed like a totally different guy. Senga, he's lost a lot of velocity on the fastball. I mean, I don't care, what Mendoza says. Mendoza says the velocity is 100% there. But if you compare year-over-year velocity, he's down 2 miles per hour. Right? So is that making the fork ball less effective? I'd like to, that would be a good question to pose, to some of the, Mendoza, the pitching staff, because I think that's the case. You lose velocity, you lose movement, your location is not as good. That nasty fork ball isn't going to look as nasty. I mean, when Senga came up a couple years ago, this guy, a couple pitches were hitting 99 miles per hour. I think he hit 100 miles per hour a couple times. And then you throw that nasty fork ball on top of it. That is just very, very difficult for a hitter to hit. But Kodai Senga, so what's going on with him? Is it routine? The New York Mets want to go to a 6-man rotation specifically for Senga. I know he's thrown 5 innings last year. So is it fatigue? Fatigue, also another thing. But this is all things that should have been considered, and a plan should have been worked out. You should have a plan A, B, C, D. When you spend $350 million, there should be all sorts of plans to make sure Kodai Senga doesn't get tired, to make sure that if you need to go to a 6-man rotation, you have a plethora of options to go to. And yet the Mets right now seem to be throwing the same thing out there. Whatever's not working, do it again. And that, again, is the definition of insanity. And the Mets right now are hoping against hope things change. And again, I'm going to say, hope, as we all know it, is not a plan, is not a strategy. but it seems to be what the New York Mets have been heavily relying on um, as of late, especially in the last couple months. Ramon, you actually, this is a very good question. This is a very good question. And I think this is a question that everyone in this live stream should be thinking about. Everybody who rewatches this should be thinking about this question. Okay. And the question is, do you really think that this team wants to play for Mendoza? Because Mendoza really sucks. All right. So the second part is obviously how you feel about Mendoza. But I think the question that we can all think about is, do we really think that the team wants to play for Mendoza? Um, and I think that right now it's blatantly obvious that I feel Mendoza is trying to appease everybody, especially the guys like Soto, Lindor, some of the kids coming up. He's trying to appease everybody. And in my opinion, the players don't give a crap either way. If Mendoza's here, that's fine. If Mendoza's not here, that's not fine. And also, I do think that, they do like the fact that this guy doesn't make their lives hard, doesn't challenge them, doesn't hold them accountable. So, you know what? Let me alter that answer. They like Mendoza, but they don't play for Mendoza. How about that? They like Mendoza, but they don't play for Mendoza. They don't raise their level for Mendoza. All right. So that's a big problem. That is a big problem. You need the players to play for the manager, and the players right now aren't playing for the manager. And you could say, in my opinion, they're taking advantage of this sophomore, past one rookie season. So, yes, he was a rookie last year. He's still a fairly new, fairly inexperienced guy. And, I think they're taking advantage of a guy who is a bit soft. He's a guy that hasn't shown that he's going to make that aggressive, shrewd move. So we're gonna see. The only shrewd move that he's made is, bringing Montas and putting him in the bullpen. That's the only shrewd move, and that was a move that every single person and their mother would have made, and every single person in New York signed off on. So that is not a move that I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a tough manager. He's a guy that's going to make the tough decision. No, that was an easy move. That was an easy decision. We've yet to see him make tough, difficult decisions. And, the rest of the players, they know that. The rest of the players, they know that. Tomorrow, if the Mets want to save this season, we need to see some changes. We need to see some moves. Good question, Ramon. Marcus, you're right. Gregory Soto, who didn't pitch for us tonight, looks by far like the best of the deadline acquisitions. I mean, there's really no doubt about it. I mean, really, there's no doubt about it. I don't think he's given up a run yet. So, but it's easy. You're not really comparing him to anybody else who's done good. Again, Rogers have given up runs. Helsley has had some bad situations, performances. So by far, Soto has looked. Yeah, he's looked like the guy that is going to be the best. But again, we got to see how the rest of the season plays out. Danny, you're right. Mania sounded like he checked out when he talked to the media. I mean, honestly, whoever didn't listen to it, it's one of the most pathetic things that I heard. In fact, let me see if I can play it for you. I don't even want to hear. You know what? I'll play it for you. I'll play it for you. Find it. Found it.
Sean, you were striking out guys left and right, even reach a season high. What, from your perspective, shifted?
Just lost feel for my sweeper right there. And then just lost control of my fastball at the end there too.
There's kind of been a little bit of a trend where you're cruising for the first couple innings and then kind of hit a wall. When you're going through that, are you feeling fatigued, or is it a mechanical issue? What's exactly happening?
I would say fatigue. I mean, I feel good. I really have no explanation for why I'm hitting that wall.
Mendoza thinks that maybe you're having a hard time elevating your fastball the third time through the order. Have you seen that as the case, as something that has not worked for you or has been sort of detrimental?
It's so funny. He has no clue. You even have the reporter trying to give him an excuse. Well, maybe it's because you're elevating your fastball. Now he's going to start coming up with a clue.
For you facing the order third time through?
I mean, I would just say in general, I don't think I've been doing like a great job elevating my my fastball. I think third time through, they're just kind of capitalizing on that.
What do you think you need to do to get back to elevating your fastball the way that you did last season?
I don't know. That's I think that's key. I think I'm doing everything in between starts. I think I just got to execute.
Sean, team-wise, why do you think a team this talented has just been unable to really get on a run here?
I just don't think we're clicking on all cylinders. I know everybody's doing everything they can, but we just haven't put it all together at once.
You guys last weekend won a series for the first time in a while. I mean, what kind of punch is it to come down here and lose one?
I mean, it sucks. We're doing everything we can. We just got to put it together.
Right now, what do you see as an issue as far as this team getting momentum and trying to get going here?
I mean, the issue is we losing games. That is all. Got to figure out the way how to win games and go as a team, as a group, and try to figure out one way or the other to win the game.
Does it feel like it's getting late up there a little bit as far as where we are in the schedule?
I mean, ain't late, but ain't early either. I mean, we have to win today. We don't have to be focused on what is going to happen in the future or what happened in the past. We got to focus on what we can do today.
How much does starting pitching set the tone for you guys? And when you aren't getting the length from your starters, how much does that sort of like spill over and affect the lineup?
I think they've been doing a great job. They've been throwing the ball well all over around.
I'm sorry. I cannot take it. The guy is freaking lying his behind off. First of all, you ask him what's wrong, what's going wrong. Has no clue. We're just not winning games. Now the last question they ask is, what do you think the starters? How do you think the starters are doing? And he literally just said that the starters are doing a good job. Does he think the fans are stupid? I mean, folks, how could you listen to a player that is that delusional or that is believing his own, nonsense? I mean, that was one of the most delusional comments I've ever heard. Juan Soto thinking the starters have been doing a good job? Wow. I mean, you're asking both Minaya and Juan Soto to be a little accountable, to figure out what is going wrong, to assess the situation. Both of them seem clueless. Yeah, I see the debate going on in the chat. Yankees have their own issues too. I mean, right now there's a lot of teams that have flaws. Yes, if you're a fan of a particular team, you're going to think your team's in a lot better shape than an opposing team. That's natural. But still, a lot of teams have flaws. A lot of teams have flaws. The Yankees have plenty of flaws. If you want to be realistic, the Mets have plenty of flaws. Both teams, the Mets and the Yankees, shouldn't have nearly as many flaws as other teams. You spent $350 million. You spent over $300 million if you're the Yankees. Both teams, frankly, should be in a much better situation. So everyone can kind of, beat out the chest and say, "Oh, I'm better than you." I don't give a damn. My team stinks. The other team's not much better. Okay, so there were a couple of takeaways. What are we going to take away from this? A lot of stuff we can take away from this series. Again, number one question: are the Mets a legitimate contender? There's only one thing that has the Mets in this right now, or else things could be completely, dire. The fact of the matter is, and let me just get exactly what I'm about to say. Okay, so there's only one reason why the Mets are still in this. You got the expanded playoffs. There's 6 teams that make the playoffs, right? There's only one legitimate team that is on your tail. That's the Cincinnati Reds. They're half game behind the Mets. That's the problem. It's simple math. There's 6 teams making it. There's 7 teams vying, right? If there was more competition, or the Cardinals, they're 4 games behind the Mets. The Arizona D-backs, there's 5.5 games behind the Mets. There's just not enough talent there to make a run at that 6th position. The only team that has the talent is the Reds. So, therefore, you don't have to leap over teams. You don't have to fend off 3 or 4 teams. Yes, another team can make the run. The D-backs, they're 5.5 out. The Cardinals, they're 4. You want to say the Cardinals are going to go on a big streak? They're 4-6 out of the last 10. There's only one viable team that can compete for that number 6 slot, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. And that is the biggest friend to the Mets: the math. The math. If this was 2-3 years ago and you didn't have 6 teams making the playoffs, I'd say the Mets season is over. But that's the only reality. You have 6 spots, and that's why the Mets are just very lucky. And the talent behind the Mets, only one talented team that has that viable chance of making the playoffs. So that's the situation. So that's why it's, even though the Mets are playing as bad as they're playing, and this is probably why the Mets are so relaxed. Soto thinking that it's not late, even though it is late. You're going in the last 20% of your season. So it is the stretch run, regardless of what Juan Soto said. But Juan Soto just said one more ridiculous thing than the next. So it is extremely late, but just because of the math situation, you find yourself still in okay position. Danny, you're right. Soto was living in a treehouse in the DR during the 80s. Living in a treehouse, never heard that. I give the guy credit. If he was living in a treehouse and he made it to the major leagues, making $800 million, all the credit in the world that guy deserves. During the 1980s, then again, I'm just thinking the guy probably wasn't even born. I think he was born in 1998. Master of Coin, this is brutal. I'm just looking forward to McLean starting. You know what the sad thing is? The sad thing is, okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Most of the New York Mets fans, that's the only thing we're looking forward to. But one of the saddest things is that you're going to have to rely, and I was thinking about this driving home from work today, is once again, you have to heap all this pressure on the young rookie to change the season, to turn things around. Because right now, the New York Mets and New York Mets fans, we feel that the season is almost lost. Again, this kid's got to stop a losing streak. Again, this kid's got to get the ugly stench out of that clubhouse, the losing stench. I mean, the kid's probably going to do it. The kid's probably going to be much better than we've seen in the last couple of days. But again, the other pros on this team have to start stepping up. But, again, nobody's accountable. Nobody's accountable. Juan Soto's not accountable. Again, you let these guys, you could see the guys do whatever they want. Brandon Nimmo yesterday wakes up, his neck is stiff. Throughout the batting practice, his neck is actually hurting him. It's bothering him. Carlos Mendoza asked him, what do you want to do? Your neck's bothering you. It's hurting. What do you want to do? Brandon Nimmo, I want to play. Of course the player's going to want to play, but if he's in pain, again, why are you letting these players dictate every scenario? There is no leadership in that damn clubhouse, and that's a problem. That's why every time we get into a situation, you're going to see where lack of leadership leads you. And lack of leadership is not going to lead you in a positive direction. This team needs to find a leader down the stretch. And David Stearns, again, Mendoza right now had a decent first year, but he had a lot of excuses. He had a lot of protection. This year, the excuses are taken out of the equation. We have all of our starters healthy. We had all of our players healthy for the most part. I know a couple of days ago you had Francisco Alvarez go down, but again, during that huge stretch where the Mets lost 14 out of 16, everybody was virtually healthy. So I don't want to hear Brandon Nimmo's hurt. I don't want to hear Francisco Alvarez is hurt. I don't want to hear any of the injury excuses, because when the Mets had 95% of their team healthy, they crapped the bed. All right, let me get back to my takeaways. All right, so Sean Manaea, as we know, another horrendous start. Opening 3 frames today looked pretty good. He had 7 strikeouts, and he had the lone hit that was, posed off of Manaea was a ground rule double by Birdie House. That was the one where it literally hit the top of the wall. So that was the lone hit. It was smoked. But the first 3 innings Manaea was dealing looked pretty decent. But in the case that has been Manaea's situation since he's come back, he cannot avoid the big inning. He cannot avoid just looking like the most hittable person on this planet. He gave up 1 run in the 4th. on a wild pitch, a hit by pitch, a single, and a ground ball. But again, in the fifth inning, it was just abysmal. And you heard the quote, but I'm going to just tell you. So this was the quote by Manaea. He goes, "I just lost the feel for my sweeper. Right there, I just lost control of my fastball at the end there too." So basically his go-to pitches, Manaea is saying he lost control of the sweeper and he lost control of the fastball. I mean, you know, you're not going to get anybody out if you cannot control your best two pitchers. Okay. So Mendoza says the biggest thing for me is the velo and using the fastball at the top. So this is Mendoza saying that of Manaea. So the biggest thing for Mendoza is he feels that it's about using the velo and using the fastball at the top of the strike zone. Last year, he says that Manaea got a lot of swing and misses with that pitch. So fastball, top of the strike zone, Manaea got a lot of swing and misses, and it seems like once he gets to that second time through the order, he's having a hard time elevating the fastball. Well, according to Manaea, according to Sean Manaea, he says he has no control. He cannot control the fastball after the second and third time. So Mendoza, you know, of course, you want to see Manaea elevating that fastball, but if you can't control the pitch, who the hell knows where it's going to go? That's why he's hitting batters, walking batters, can't control the pitch. Traffic also came back to bite Manaea. Tyler Rogers gave up a 2-run single to Riley Adams. But again, Tyler Rogers, came in there to try to close the door. Tyler Rogers did not close the door. The Mets offense today, you know, I mean, you could say that they didn't really do their jobs. The Mets offense opened up strong. We took a 3-run lead against Mackenzie Gore. Francisco Lindor, give him all the credit in the world. He had 3 of the Mets' 7 hits. Francisco Lindor continues to stay red hot. And then Starling Marte as well. Starling Marte, you know, a solo shot. That ball was really, you know, that he hit that well. That was a bomb. So, you know, you have some good bright spots there. Brett Beatty continues to swing a very hot bat. Hayden Singer, congratulations to Hayden Singer. First career RBI. Yay, bright spot. Hayden Singer got his first career RBI. The Mets fans, there you go. You got something to cheer about. But again, it just wasn't good enough today. It wasn't good enough. Mendoza goes, on back-to-back nights, we didn't have good at-bats. We didn't have good at-bats. And when he says good at-bats, he's talking about our at-bats against the bullpen of the Nationals. He also went on to say that the bullpen kept us off balance and the Mets hitters chased. I think the biggest thing for us was chasing. At times, overly aggressive on first pitches and not doing damage. Then we didn't give our chance ourselves to create opportunities. So honestly, that quote I did not hear from Mendoza. That quote actually I do like. I do like that because he's, you're holding some of the players. He didn't name names, but he did say that, you know, we're chasing. He did say that we're being overly aggressive on first pitches. So you are identifying a couple, you know, things that the batters have to improve. So, give Mendoza, I give him a smidge of credit for trying to be a bit more holding, you know, guys accountable. But, you know, again, he's got 99.9% more to go. Now you got Jeff McNeil. He joins the new list of injury concerns. Unfortunately, all right, so you got a couple of injuries now piling up, but okay, so I think I covered everything I wanted to with that quick rundown. I also wanted to mention one thing. I wanted to mention, you know, Brett Beatty. A lot of people are noticing Brett Beatty's hitting for a lot more power. His swing looks more dynamic now. It looks a little more fluid. What I noticed with Brett Beatty is it seems like he has a slightly higher leg kick the leg kick, is a little slightly higher. I think it's causing him to, the whole swing to generate a bit more power. I did notice that. I saw Tyrone Taylor trying to use the same leg kick, Cedric Mullins as well. But players, I've seen that. I've seen coaches tell guys, tweak the timing of their leg kick and also the height of the leg kick. So if you're a righty, you're going to have a leg kick with your left leg, pick up your left leg when the pitch is coming. And as the pitch is approaching you, you're going to put the leg down and you're going to have a swing. And a lot of people say that does help the power. I do notice that Brett Beatty's leg kick looks a little bit more pronounced, and you see that type of, the benefit from that. So, but Brett Beatty, again, that's a bright spot right now. And Francisco Lindor is a bright spot. I'm struggling to find them, but, those are some bright spots. And I want to see Francisco Lindor right now. And Francisco Lindor was batting like 240. I think he was batting 242 a couple weeks ago. But right now, Francisco Lindor has his average up to 262. So right back up to respectability. His career average is 273. Lindor hit a homer tonight. So that gives him 25 home runs, 72 RBIs. He has 85 runs scored. He's going to probably have about a 5 to 6 wins above replacement WAR season. So Francisco Lindor is going to finish up another very solid season with the numbers. And, that's pretty impressive when you factor in the huge 2-month slump. So Francisco Lindor, he's getting hot at the right time. And I said, that's a guy you want to get right because the team usually goes as Lindor goes. But as you can see, this year, we have a lot more issues. What's the difference this year compared to last year? Last year, we started to get things going. But last year, the huge difference were the contributions that we got from our starters. The huge difference was the contributions from the starters, specifically Sean Manaea. Quintana got Jose Quintana. He got hot at the right time. David Peterson got hot at the right time. So you had your pitching staff collaboratively, and that's what you need. You can't just have 2 or 3 guys be productive. You need that 5 to 6 man rotation because we need streaks now. We need to put these wins together, and that's going to create momentum. And again, we got to nip this negative momentum in the bud as quickly as possible because, again, this team is very, very streaky. And if they start getting these losses, piling them up, God only knows what's going to happen. We already saw the Mets lose like 14 out of 16. So that would end the season. And again, the only reason why we're in it is just because of mathematics. You only have 7 teams vying for 6 spots. So we're in position just because of that. Chad, I see you in the chat. Honestly, from a Yankee fan, I don't really expect anything less. I agree with you. The Mets right now, the momentum is lacking, but doesn't mean that momentum cannot start. Really doesn't mean. And if you're a half game still in a player position, you giving up hope or saying the season over, that's a bit silly. Last year, I heard the same thing. The Mets were done. Mets were going nowhere. And the Mets came 2 games shy of the World Series. So you never know. And that goes for any team. Brewers, they got phenomenally hot. And, but same thing. They can go through a cold stretch. You got to get hot at the right time. And any team could do it. The Reds, they can get hot and win the World Series. It depends which team gets hot at the right time. And that could just be any team. So, as long as you're in it, as long as you're mathematically in it, anything could virtually happen. But I do agree, for the Mets to have any sort of chance, they have to get this pitching right. If you're a playoff team, what do you want to see? Oh, you want to see Sean Manaea every day. Sean Manaea is a pitcher you could literally tattoo. The guy can't control any of his pitches. Just wait him out 2 or 3 innings, make him make him pitch. And that's a guy that you'd love to see in the playoffs. So I'm not salivating to get him starts in the playoffs unless something drastically changes. The guy doesn't seem like he's got the mentality. The guy doesn't seem like he's got the stuff, the talent, the control. So I'm worried about that. Kodai Senga, I just think the guy has to be built up in a certain way. He only pitched 5 innings last year. So I think he's a guy that, right now at this point in the season, he's got to have thrown over 100 innings. Let me see how many innings Kodai Senga has thrown. Kodai Senga has thrown this year 104 innings. So he's thrown just over 100 innings. So you got to remember that. And the Mets, this is something that was blatantly obvious. So this should have been planned. The guy's literally going from 5 innings. He's thrown over 100. So he's going to probably throw close to 150 innings this year, or maybe not that much. So 3, he's going to throw probably closer to 140 if the Mets make any sort of playoff run. But that's a lot to expect from a guy who's thrown only 5 innings. So I'm not last year. So I'm not really surprised that Kodai Senga is tiring out right now. Going to that 6-man rotation seems to be the best thing to make sure that this guy is anywhere near fresh if you expect him to produce in the playoffs. That means we're going to have to, get a guy like Sproat in here. The way I see the math, you're either going to have to, there's an opportunity for Sproat to pitch on either this Sunday or Monday, So, let's see what the Mets decide to do. Do they want to see Sproat pitch against the Braves, or do they want to see Sproat pitch against the Phillies? That's going to be their decision. But again, that decision is going to have to come sooner rather than later. Chad, keep up the good work in the comments. I just love the fact that I got one Yankee fan in here trying to convince a bunch of Mets fans the season's over. I love that. And then again, to go over Juan Soto's comments. So Juan Soto, after the Mets game, obviously I just played the comments a few moments ago. So Juan Soto believes 100% that the Mets are a playoff team. So that is Juan Soto's feeling. He also says, since day one, we believe in each other and we believe we can make it to the playoffs. We just got to play better. We've got to play better and try to win more games. I mean, folks, you can't simplify it more than that. Got to play better, got to win games so you can make the playoffs. So Juan Soto really simplified it for us, but, we know that. We 100% know that. So Soto really kind of was no help in the final 2 games against the Nats. He went 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts. 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts. I didn't realize it was that bad. 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts. He did hit a homer on Tuesday in the Mets 8-1 win. But again, 0 for 8 when the Mets need you to come up big with 5 strikeouts. Not good. Very not good. There's nothing you could say about that. So then it was asked about McNeil. So McNeil, he's also dealing with a little injury as well. So Mendoza says, I'm trying to stay away from him. I'm trying to limit him on the field as well. But we are where we are. And I just needed him there. And that's why he had a pinch hitting appearance. But, it just kind of shows the desperation. It's – I don't know. The moves. If you're gonna do that, I'm just going back to why do we pitch Stanek in the 8th inning in a 2-run game? I'm gonna keep going back to that. That just makes no sense to me. So Kodai Senga, we know he lost the game Wednesday night. He has a 6 ERA in his last 6 starts, folks. 6 ERA in his last 6 starts, and he's averaging fewer than 5 innings per appearance. So that is not good. You have your 2 aces extremely struggling. So the Mets are traveling to Atlanta this weekend. Hopefully, and I keep saying, hopefully that's the next series that gives them the, positive energy, the momentum going forward. But again, every single time that I say that, it seems like the Mets go backwards. Then they're going to Citi Field on Monday to host the Phillies. So again, that's what I said. Do you want to pitch Sproat on Sunday in Atlanta, or do you want to pitch Sproat on Monday in Citi Field against the Phillies? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking they want him at Citi Field. But again, do you want to facing the Phillies or Atlanta? I'd rather have him on Monday against the Phillies, but that's just me because I don't think I'm still going for the division. And Mendoza's final comment of the night was, we don't have much time left, so we got to play better, obviously stated. Well, I just want to say, everyone, so far, thanks for sticking with me. I was able to calm down from the beginning of the stream, so thank you so much. We got some great comments in the chat, so thank you as well for everybody who's left their comment. If anybody listening has a question, just drop it and I will get to it momentarily. So if you got a question, just drop it and I will get to it momentarily. Think of it right now. So think of a good question. And if you never write a comment, I want to hear from you. I'm looking at all these, articles, all these writers, they're describing Sean Manaea as being extremely puzzled and that Sean Manaea is actually worried about like this trend. I mean, if I'm Sean Manaea and I have 0 answers and I care about my career, I'd be extremely worried as well because the guy, again, looks so damn hittable in certain situations. The first 3 innings, decent. It looked really good, really sharp. But it's just, if you're a starter, you can't just be good through 3. You got to be able to go 5, 6 at least. Oh, and congratulations. I just wanted to mention this as well. Congratulations to Mr. Paul Blackburn, who just signed a major league contract with the New York Yankees. So congratulations to both Blackburn and the New York Yankees. They look like they are new partners. So good luck with that. No, I mean, Blackburn, when he was here, I mean, the guy just struggled, completely struggled. He struggled on the field. He struggled to find a role. This year, he had 7 appearances, had a 6.85 ERA in 24 innings. So, I mean, in terms of providing us value on the field, he provided very little value on the field. And you can kind of just tell every time David Stearns alluded to Paul Blackburn, it seemed like DFAing him was just inevitable. It was 100% going to eventually happen. Juan, you know, the funny thing is, I remember I was thinking about this 6 weeks ago when we kind of just started to struggle. Ain't gonna lie, I miss Griffin Canning. I mean, Griffin Canning, like, I didn't even know, like, his stuff was pretty decent. The guy was throwing 95, 96, had a good mix of pitches. You know, I just think, you know, him pitching on the Angels didn't really know what to do with him. Besides his last 2 outings, he really had an above average start with the Mets. You know, he was 7-3, 3.77 ERA. He threw 76 innings, 8.3 strikeouts per 9. You know, he gave up quite a few hits, but again, you know, he found a way to get the job done. He really did. He found a way to get the job done. So, you know, I agree with that. Griffin Canning, you know, that was a good signing. That was a good signing. And, you know, it was very unfortunate that he got hurt. I mean, Griffin Canning looked a lot better than Sean Manaea. Now I'm looking at Griffin Canning's Baseball Savant. Yeah, so this is Griffin Canning's Baseball Savant. So what you notice is you noticed on the bottom, you notice there's a big red. The ground ball percentage was very, very good. 86th percentile. So he generated almost 51.6% in that category. So very good at generating ground balls. He did give up quite a few hits. So the ground ball was his friend. Also, he, you know, again, he had ground ball double plays, but look at his expected ERA, folks. His expected ERA was in the 22nd percentile. So his ERA was 3.77, but expected ERA was 4.65. So, you know, the numbers were a little better than they probably should have been, to be fair. His fastball velo was average 94.1 on the fastball. But again, he was just signed for a couple $1 million. I think for the amount of money we gave him, you know, that contract, you know, and that, you know, that amount of money was perfect. He had a 4-seamer, slider, changeup, curve, cutter, sinker. We miss you, Griffin Canning. Bye-bye. Oh, you know what I wanted to show you guys? The New York Mets actually have, you know, I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about the minor league prospects, but if you look at the Mets pitchers in the minor leagues, a lot of them are having really good years. I want to show you that. And you got to feel that David Stearns, who doesn't really invest anything in making a trade for starting pitchers or invest anything in acquiring top echelon starting pitchers, he really has confidence in the minor leagues in terms of these pitchers that are eventually going to come up. All right, so this is we know this, our prospect rankings. All right, so Carson Bench is our number one prospect right now. That's people are saying, does it take the sting off of losing a PCA in that trade? No, but it's good to see that we actually have a top-rated, a really top-rated guy coming up, hopefully soon. But more importantly, all right, Nolan McClain, he's with the team right now. Jonah Tong, a lot of players like Jonah Tong, we all know has been completely dominating. He's got a 1.50 ERA, 9-5. This kid has been extremely dynamic. Got a fastball grade of 65. So you got to be excited about Tong. So that's good. But then also when you go down and you look at the Mets, besides the big three. So the big three would be Nolan McClain, Jonah Tong, and Brandon Sproat. Oh, and before I get to that, the Mets actually, according to ESPN.com, have 6 top prospects in the top 100. Benj, Williams, McClain, Tong, Sproat, and AJ Ewing. So again, they are accumulating talent. Now, in terms of the pitching, so other guys to focus on, Will Watson. Will Watson is 22 years old. He's projected to come up in 2 years. He's also a guy, he's got a really good fastball. His fastball grades out at 60. But he's another guy that can touch 97 miles per hour. He's having a very good year. The win-loss record is not that great, but he's got a 2.60 ERA, batting average against 211. So he's got 115 strikeouts in only 97 innings. So that's about 11 strikeouts per 9. So he's looking pretty dynamic. He's pitching he's in single A right now, but that's another guy to look for in the next year and a half. That's including in addition to the big four. But, let's continue to go on. You got this other guy, Jack Wenninger. MLB predicts that he could be ready next year. He's 23 years old, and he's also having a very good year at AA. He's 10-6 with a 2.72 ERA, 1.10 whip, which is pretty good, 216 batting average against. He's got 126 Ks in 112 innings. So, again, that's better than a strikeout per inning. His big thing is he's got a nasty changeup. His changeup is his best pitch. He can get the fastball up there. The fastball 96 miles per hour. He averages that fastball in the 91 to 94. But again, he's got a filthy changeup. The Mets drafted him last year in the 6th round. So, that's good that you're having a guy like that you picked in the 6th round, 186 pick. Jack Wenninger is actually, doing pretty well as well. So that's 5 pitchers right there. 5 pitchers right there. Jonathan Santucci, he's 22 years old. He actually was a higher pick. We picked him in the 2024 draft in the 2nd round. I remember when they drafted him. His big out pitch is the slider. He is a lefty, so it's good that we actually have some lefties coming up as well. He averages 92 to 96 on the lefty. The slider, again, 82 to 85 miles per hour. Very, very nasty pitch, that slider. And again, his results, again, another guy, every single guy that I'm reading to you on the list is having success in the minors. Jonathan Santucci is 8-4 with a 3.08 ERA. He's pitched 102 innings, has 118 strikeouts. Again, more than a strikeout per inning. So, maybe the pitching lab hasn't been effective at the MLB level, at least this year. But, these young kids, you got some talent in the minors with the pitchers. You really do. You really, really do. And I'm going to continue to go on and tell you how deep they are. We're just going over the pitchers. So let's go. The next guy up on the list is Jonathan Pintaro. Jonathan hasn't really pitched that much, only one game. So really not much to go on there. He's a guy that we picked up last year. But again, he hasn't really pitched that much. So don't really know too much about him. But, he's another guy that we're going to see probably in the next year. Let me see another guy that actually has pitched. Dylan Ross pitching for AAA. He's 2-0 with a 2.81 ERA and 41 innings. So he's doing pretty decent. We got him in 2022 in the 13th round. His fastball grade is 65, so that seems to be his best pitch. He's a fireballer, folks. This guy can hit 102 miles per hour on the gun. He's 6'5", and I like the fact that we got this guy in the 13th round, 400th overall almost, and he throws 102 miles per hour. That's a guy that you always want to take a chance on. He's had Tommy John surgery in the past, so he got past that. But again, another guy, another live arm. And what we're seeing here, folks, is we're seeing up and down the Mets' top prospects is guys with a lot of decent stuff. And not only do they have decent stuff, they've had success in the minor leagues. So, it's good that all these guys are having success. Ryan Lambert's another guy with a live arm. His fastball grade is 70. We got him last year's draft, 2024, in the 233rd round. Folks, all these guys we are drafting very late, but they're still producing. Ryan Lambert is 6'3", 222 pounds, 22 years old. Scouting grades give him a 70 fastball, 55 slider. Control needs to be worked on a bit, but he's also another guy that can get it up to as high as 102 miles per hour. So another guy, Ryan Lambert, is another guy with a crazy fastball. Dylan Ross, Ryan Lambert, two guys with major velocity, folks. Major velocity. And again, like, how many guys? I just named like 8, 9 guys. Zach Thornton, he's another guy. Zach Thornton, another guy, folks, who's producing at a high level. He's 6-2 with a 1.98 ERA. He's a lefty. We drafted him 2 years ago, 5th round, 159 overall. This guy, he's a control artist. He might not have elite stuff like the other guys do, but his control, causes you can locate the ball, you can have success, and he's had tremendous success. RJ Gordon, another guy, 9-2, 3.15. So, all right, folks, I just wanted to give you a little inkling on a lot of some of the talent that we have coming up. We do have pitching talent coming up. Is this why David Stearns chooses to invest zero in acquiring pitching talent? We will see. We will see. We will see. But again, you got to look to the big three. They should be coming up. One of them is already up here, Nolan McClann. But the other two, Jonah Tong, Sproat, Will Warren, probably next year. So we got a lot of talent. And then all the other guys that I mentioned, lefties, righties, fireballers, guys who are a bit more control artists. So we have a mix of everything down below. All right, folks. So I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. Again, thank you for sticking with me, everybody. Great job in the chat. A lot of fun conversations over there. Everybody, great job. If you can, before you leave, if you could I'd really appreciate that. I'm going to try to do a lot more live streams. This is something that I want to stay on top of. So if you don't have the notification bell, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Spread the word. I want to try to get to every video. I'm trying to aim for 100 likes. YouTube kind of changed. They always change the algorithm. Now in the past, I've been very streaky with the consistency. If you're inconsistent, YouTube is, however good you are, it doesn't promote the video. So again, that's my commitment to you, to be a little more consistent or a lot more consistent. But again, thank you for being here. Let's go Mets, despite everything looking like crap tonight. Tomorrow could be much, much better. We have a very good starting pitcher, Nolan McLean. That's going to be very exciting. So enjoy that. We got the Braves coming up, then the Phillies. We're still a half game up on the last wild card spot. So, don't lose hope, even though things seem a bit hopeless. There's still time's running out, but we still have a chance to make this into something interesting. All right. Talk to everybody soon.